Hello everyone, it's Turin here, and today guys I'm here with another Dawn of War 3 1v1 match. In this game I'm going to be playing the Orks, and I'm going to be facing off against the foul Eldar. So something I wanted to show you guys real quick, my opponent actually had a pretty cool play down here that I wanted to show you guys. So the Eldar builders right here, they actually have a warp ability, so they can teleport around the map, which is quite strong. But something else that's really cool, check out this tactic right here. So he actually builds his web gate right here, and then he keeps that Eldar builder right on the edge of that capture point, so he's actually building a barracks and capturing a point. Just something neat I wanted to point out real quick. And something else, guys, I believe this is actually In Control, who is the, he was a pro StarCraft player, I think. I'm not sure if he still plays professionally, but definitely a very, very good RTS player, so you guys are in for a treat. It's going to be a good cockfight. So anyways, right here, I'm just getting my Gretches. I'm going up top, capturing this point, you know, getting the elite, not elite requisition, but just requisition generator right away. So essentially this provides you with the yellow resource, or the requisition, which is kind of the more valuable one early game. So you don't really need power until tier 2. So for those of you guys that are new to the game, at least my anecdotal suggestion would be simply to just capture requisition. And as you start to tech up, slowly segue your way into getting power, which allows you to build WOG towers. And, you know, WOG towers for Orks are essentially how you tier up. So you can see right here in the bottom right, there's a few different structures right here, or not structures, but WOG faces, as I shall call them. As you kind of build a WOG tower, that's tier 1, that's tier 2, 3, 4, and 5, etc., etc. It unlocks additional buildings, troops, all that kind of fun stuff. So right now, I really like to use BOYZ early and aggressively. They're very, very strong. My opponent actually has 2 Dire Avengers right here. So Dire Avengers are a very, very strong early game unit as well. But if you miss your grenades with these guys, they can get beaten down by BOYZ. But my opponent, very, very well played, gets a solid grenade and just guns down my BOYZ. He actually built 3 squads. So I thought I was being aggressive early game, building 2, but he actually built 3 of these Dire Avengers early on and was able to get quite a few kills, actually almost picking off an entire group of my Ork boys. So right now I have to do a bit of a tactical retreat, as I do have a 3rd squad of BOYZ coming right now. So something that's pretty good with Orks, like for example, if he were to overextend here, I could use my shout right here, which I'm not sure if I do it right now, but yeah, I actually run back and I start to do a shout. So if I was able to like force an engagement here and he ran back this way, I was going to come in, because the shout is basically like a mini WOG. What it does is it gives them increased speed, melee attacks, and it makes the enemy slow. It's very, very strong, and it gives them a shield. So you can see they actually get a shield. So BOYZ, situationally, can be pretty good, but granted, Dire Avengers early game, if their grenades are used effectively, can really, really shut those guys down. Granted, the BOYZ are coming back here, and now that I do have a WOG tower online, scraps are going to start building periodically, and the scraps, pretty much all Ork units, guys, can pick up scraps, and each of them gets kind of a different unique buff. Not all, but I don't know if Gretches can. I think Gretches can build vehicles from them, at least in the campaign. I haven't tried it in 1v1, but over here, I actually built a BOYZ hut. The reason I did this is because I needed to start reinforcing. Some of my boys had taken a lot of damage, and I didn't want to have to run them all the way back to the war camp. It's really funny casting like Ork games, because all the like the different language they have for things, it's kind of like a little bit of a tongue twister. But right here, so these boys picked up the scrap. It actually changes their animation. So now they are, let's go ahead and click on them right here, and for some reason there it is. So they're bigger and harder. So they're Ard boys, which they become tougher. It gives them a health increase, and it also gives them stun damage, or not damage, but a stun attack, which is so good against Eldar. Anything you can do to lock down like kiting factions in general is just incredibly powerful in all RTS games. So let's take a look at the HP difference. So they have 1600 compared to the 1280. So that's a big difference. That's pretty substantial. So they get pretty strong. So right now I'm just kind of getting my goon squad over here. I knew that my opponent had a listening post down here, so I was like, I can't take that right now. I don't have enough like kind of oomph, and he still has way too many troops, you know, online at this point. So he has some Dire Avengers down here. He also has a Bone Singer coming down. So I come down and try and like capture this. I was just poking around. And the BOYZ, just for reference, guys, they actually have, well, those ones, let's go ahead and look at this group here. So they have 33 melee defense when they're fighting. Whereas these guys, actually, the Dire Avengers, they only have 14. So in melee, I'm really going to be able to take the advantage. But those grenades doing pretty good work. He gets a nice little stun there. It's not like a square contact, so thankfully I was able to kind of get away. But I knew that this would be like a losing situation. He was going to be able to kite me back, so I just ran away at this point. I was like, hey, let's go reinforce, get my bearings, and I actually did get my Storm Boys. So Storm Boys are one of my elite units. They only cost 2 elite points, so they're similar to Kill Team Iron Maw. They're very similar to the Stinging Scorpions or Striking Scorpions, whatever those things are called. I don't really like Eldar, as you guys can tell. So I get them, they have a jump, so they have the Assault Marine function. They're very strong in melee. They have over 100 DPS, so if we look, they have 160 melee DPS. So against squishy Eldar, Dire Avengers, and units like that, they're going to be really good. But unfortunately, my opponent does have the Striking Scorpions, who I think are a little bit stronger than the Storm Boys. They have 171 DPS. They also have shields, and they have some pretty good abilities. They have this Hunt ability, which gives them like a stealth, allows them to like see units, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. It's very, very good. So I figured, hey, I took this point. My opponent was trying to build here, so let's fight. So he jumps in here with these Striking Scorpions, and I send these guys in deep. But my opponent, very, very good micro. He runs in and dodges that, but I actually had some BOYZ like right around the corner here. So you can see it actually stuns those Eldar, and my Storm Boys are getting in there, and we're actually cutting up a lot of his troops here. Granted, he's doing a very, very good job with these stun grenades, just perpetually knocking my guys back. And check this out. So one of my Storm Boys, they have this ability called Suicide Bomb. So I launch him up in there, watch that. And he comes down and destroys that whole squad. Granted, you do lose a model of your Storm Boys. It does quite a bit of damage, but I think that was worth it because I can just go back and heal them now, and I was able to, you know, do quite a bit of work. But unfortunately, my opponent had more forces there. He had quicker reinforcements. He has what they call webway gates. Webway gates in this aura, it gives all the Eldar units what's called fleet of foot. It gives them movement speed and shield regeneration, so at that point I just had to run away. I do now have Shooter Boys, so I kind of like transitioned into more of a hybrid build rather than just spamming Shooter Boys, or excuse me, Boys. I started to mix it in with the ranged units. So Shooter Boys have very good range DPS. It's actually 44, but what makes them really, really good against Eldar is the fact that they can get stick bombs. So once they pick up the scrap here, you can see the little wrenches kind of circling there, they can throw stick bombs. So the stick bombs do a ton of burst damage, causes a knockback, and it can almost like one-shot a lot of these Dire Avengers groups. So that's going to be one of my big power spikes here. And you can see they're digging up the trash. Kind of like, it's like Danny DeVito from It's Always Sunny. I'm here for the trash. I'm the trash man. But anyways, they get in there, they take those goodies, and now everyone's kind of reinforcing, healing up. You can see, this guy just like barely got away from that battle. I don't know how he got away. Maybe my opponent didn't notice him, but he's coming in. I'm going to start reinforcing him. And right now, I'm like, okay, my opponent has both of these points right here. My requisition is pretty low. It's 378 against his, which is going to be pretty fat, 444 or 440. So I guess he's just building the requisition here, so he hasn't been reaping the benefit for a long time, but still, he has map control. He is in control, as his name infers. Doing very, very good stuff. So right now, I pop this Wog Tower, which is nice, because my opponent hears it. You can see there's like a beacon on the map. You can actually see that. So he doesn't know which way I'm going to go. I could do a Wog and press in here like I had been doing before, so I think my opponent prepares for that. You can see his striking scorpions get it set up here. He's like, okay, I'm going to wait for him. He's coming down here. He has to be the Wog pop. But what I end up doing is popping the Wog. You can see they're all enraged. They get a bunch of, I believe they get attack speed, move speed, all kinds of good stuff. And I come for this other juicy point. So he actually has a resource point built here, and he does have requisition being built. So I'm going to be able to just gun this down really quick, and you can see they're throwing the stick bombs. So what makes Shooter Boys really good in this matchup is the fact that I have tons of bombs. It's one of my army doctrines, and what it does is it makes it so Shooter Boys periodically throw the stick bombs aside from their activation. So you have the ones that you can like manually throw, but on top of that, you also have a periodic one that they throw aside from that, which is quite good. So instead of staying and capturing this, like, you know, might seem like the logical thing to do, I pull back because I know my opponent is going to be doing a tactical counterattack here, maybe going for a shield generator, which if he did, would be very strong. So something that's definitely in my favor, granted I was kind of behind in the early game, is that look at my curve. My elite curve is a 2, a 4, and a 9. So normally I wouldn't bring Beauty to Morkanat, but I was just trying to level him up, but still. A 2, a 4. So that means I'm going to get to Gorguts pretty soon. I actually have 2 right here. Whereas my opponent, if you look at his curve, he has a 2, a 7, and a 9. So I'm going to get my elite Gorguts far before he gets his elite. So that's going to be one of the really big power spikes that I need to take advantage of in this game. Granted, if I'm not able to take advantage of that, my opponent is able to kind of you know, draw the game out and just play defensively and hold his side of the map. I'm going to probably lose to those guys because this Wraith Lord is incredibly powerful, just a devastating troop. And then on top of that, he does have the Wraith Knight, which is Big Daddy. So if he wants to, he can just save up for the Wraith Knight and really do some work here. So I set up one Wog Tower here, one here, and you can see the scraps are dropping, and I'm also building a pile of guns. So the pile of guns essentially allows you to upgrade your weapons. It's similar to an arsenal, and since I'm doing a very heavy infantry build, and probably what I want to do in the late game is tech into knobs rather than go hard for vehicles. You can get Killer Cans, you can get Def Dreads, which are both very good, but I love knobs. If you use knobs with trucks, Eldar are going to kite you. They're going to run. They have squishy units. So what you do is you put the knobs in a truck, you launch the knobs at the opponent's troops, and then at that point you taunt them, and it's very, very devastating. So you can see my opponent comes in here for a little bit of attack. His Dire Avenger's coming in, trying to kill my Wog Tower, but I do see that coming, and he actually does pull back, probably suspecting that I'm nearby. But he has a pretty good little webway assembly here. You can see he has one, so he can scurry so quick, and I can't necessarily catch him. Over here, he has another one as well, kind of getting this area, and you can see he does have his warrior portal here. So going a very, very heavy Dire Avengers build, to say the least. So let's actually go over here, and right now he's at 524 against my, let's go ahead and see what I got, so 442. So I'm starting to kind of close the gap a little bit, but he's still ahead in terms of, you know, finances and everything, but I feel like my army's pretty strong. So if we're looking at his, or my income right now, I have 44 army supply against his 33. So he's going more of an economical route, whereas I'm going a little bit more aggressive and just building more troops, and he's obviously upgrading his infrastructure right here. You can see he's upgrading this point to increase the generation by 25%. So at this point, I really need to make something happen. So right now, I'm trying to do a timing push. I'm like, okay, let's get the infantry damage. Let's wait for Gorguts. And as soon as Gorguts and the infantry get here, I can just go in and I think bully him down because I have so many guys and I have scraps on almost everything. So it's going to be really, really strong. Those stick grenades just put the Eldar in a can like so hard. So he goes in here. This is definitely, you're in the wrong neighborhood right now. These guys are coming in. And what's scary about this is I can then counterattack down here. So I push in. I knew that he had some webway assemblies here. So I'm like, let's kill these guys. That's going to keep him from getting away quickly. It's going to take away that fleet of foot, that shield regeneration. And then I could just kind of bully him into the corner here here because he only has 2 options. He has to go up here into a Wog Tower, which I actually popped the Wog just to kind of try and scare him off. That's another tactic that's actually really cool with the Wog Towers. You can like scare your opponents with those things, which is pretty funny. So he's trapped here now. I got him pinned here in the corner. I do have some Shooter Boys and some other troops here, and Gorguts is here. The boss is here. So he's going to summon in right now. He's just going to get really ham. You can see he's kind of warping in here. And Gorguts is so good against Eldar. I think he's very strong. He has the rocket, or what's it called? The grappling claw, which shoots in and it taunts. So you can taunt Eldar troops, really, you know, get on their dire Avengers, shred them, and then he also does have the spinning claw. So it slows, it does true damage, it absorbs shots, it does damage over time. It looks like, yeah, well, obviously it's a channel, so it's going to do damage over time. But regardless, I'm like, okay, this is my moment to shine. My opponent is pinned in the corner. He has more of an economical build, and he also doesn't have an elite curve. His elite curve, well, not to say it doesn't exist, but it's very, very expensive. So I'm going to be able to get some value here. So I push in with my Storm Boys. I get a very nice knockback on 2 groups of Eldar. I'm able to dodge that stun grenade there, and you can see my stick bobs coming in there for my Shooter Boys, doing devastating damage in Gorguts. He comes in, and this is one of the biggest threats. These guys right here, the Striking Scorpions, if they were able to get on my Shooter Boys and start tearing them apart, I would have been in trouble. But I come back here, and Gorguts just beats the hell out of them. He taunts them, and then the Shooter Boys gun them down. So right now, he has a Webway Gate over here. He was probably preparing for a battle by building that, but still, I have his guys trapped in the corner. My boys are Ardor, so they're getting in there, they're stunning them, and Gorguts is definitely not going to have any of the funny business over here. So very, very good timing, good situation, using the Wog Tower to kind of you know, push over here initially, and then come back here. And look at those stick bombs, guys. They're so, so powerful. Definitely one of my favorite doctrines. Some of the other doctrines I have is come on. So that gives knobs a taunt. Well, knobs, when they taunt, they get a shield. So you shoot them in with the truck, you taunt, they get a shield. And when their shield expires, I believe it does an additional slow based on that. And on top of that, I do also have heal and scrap. So non-elite units, so Shooter Boys, pretty much anything but my elites can heal from scrap. So if you need to get back into the battle pretty quickly, you destroy an enemy building. These buildings actually count as scrap if I'm not mistaken, so I can pick them up. Granted, I'm just in a rush. I'm like, I need to get in here and end this, so I send some Shooter Boys down here. And the Shield Generator is a pretty good choice because he's pretty well defended here, but the Shield Generator doesn't really have like, a turret in it. So he does have some dire Avengers. He gets a pretty nice little stun grenade in there, but with Gorguts, as well as my Storm Boys, and if we go ahead and look at his Striking Scorpions, they're way off. Granted, he was pretty close to getting this Wraith Lord, so if I didn't get in here and really, really just kind of, push the envelope and end the game right now, he could have gotten a very, very good counterattack there, but unfortunately, losing that Shield Generator, I would have been able to just push north and probably take everything else. So, but at that point, my opponent does surrender. So, well played to my opponent in control. It was a lot of fun. Look forward to seeing you again on ladder. And hey, I hope you guys enjoyed that cast. Let me know if you guys want to see more Orks, more Space Marines. I've really been enjoying the boys. They got a really aggressive, like headstrong style. I like the timing pushes with them. Using the Wog Tower, it's cool because you set it up in like the middle of your opponent's formation. So if they have points on either side, they don't know which way you're going to go. And it just gives you massive movement speed. So you can like really, really jam around the map. It's quite cool. But again, thank you guys for watching. Let me know if you guys want to see more Dawn of War content. And guys, got more goodies coming for y'all soon. Have an excellent night and take care.